Hi, I'm Mackenzie Cheesley.
I'm Molly Scott.
I'm Kirsty Reese.
And I'm Jane Horn.
I'm Beth Sharber, and we did scenario 8, which was about Stella, the third grader. 5 qualities that we think that make up a great teacher are
someone who is thoughtful,
kind,
compassionate,
organized,
and patient.
Our scenario is about a third grader named Stella who's having frustration with her teacher, and it's our job as librarians to come up with a set of books for her to help her with her difficulties.
Our solution is it is normal to be frustrated with your teacher. There are several different teacher-student relationships.
However, your teacher does love and care about you, and we have developed a set of books that showcase how you may feel and what you can do. The book of Joshua T. Bates is about a third grade boy who flunks his third grade class because he's really bad at reading, and when he finds out he's getting a teacher, he's really negative about it. But in the end, she helps him overcome all these obstacles, and they create a true friendship. And it's important for you to remember that your teacher will help you overcome obstacles as well, and she's Matilda is a book about a little girl, Matilda, she's very misunderstood by her parents, but at school she finds comfort within her teacher. And just remember that your teacher cares about you, and everyone has problems, whether it be at home or school, and that your teacher will always be there for you. Arthur's Teacher Moves In is about a boy, Arthur, whose teacher ends up moving up with his family. And Arthur is really upset about this at first, but he finds out later that his teacher's just a normal guy who watches TV and eats ice cream just like everybody else was. So don't ever be afraid to talk to your teacher about any problems you have, because she's just a normal person just like you and I are.
Willow is a book that is about this little girl who's very creative and who has an art teacher named Miss Hawthorne that is very clean and very tidy. And Willow inspires her by coloring outside of the lines and showing that art is in the eye of the beholder, and a student can influence your teacher just as well. David Goes to School is about this kid, David, who's very destructive, runs around in the halls, chews gum during class. His teacher's constantly yelling at him. So one day he has to stay after school, and the teacher makes him write down a list of homework, and he accomplishes it and he gets a gold star. So it just shows that if you study hard and get good work, then you'll be rewarded for it. Ruby the Copycat is about this girl named Ruby who is new to school, and she has this friend Angela who she wants to be like. So she copycats her clothes and style and everything. So the teacher found out that the students were starting to pick on her, so she encouraged Ruby to be an individual, be unique, and yeah.
And Miss Nelson is missing. The kids in Miss Nelson's class are acting up. So she decides to leave, but the subject is even worse than Miss Nelson. The sooner the kids want Miss Nelson back, the harder it is for the kids. It is important to be thankful for your teacher because it always could be worse. Thank You, Mr. Falker is about a girl named Tricia who has dyslexia. It's a reading disorder, but Mr. Faulkner does not let that stop him from loving her. He accepts her for just as much as who she is, and it's important for you to remember that your teacher does love you no matter what challenges you may face. Junie B's Essentials to Survival Guide of School is about Junie B. Jones giving funny advice on what it's like to be a student. She also states that what things she would do if she were the teacher. It's important to remember that every teacher has different styles, and it's great to be supportive even as a student.
Maggie Maggie is about Maggie, and she was having trouble and not enjoying learning cursive in her classroom. So one day her teacher made her the class messenger, and she realized that the messages that her teacher was writing were about her. And this motivated her to learn cursive. And this shows how her teacher knew how to motivate her and knew it was best. Clementine's letter is about Clementine, and her favorite teacher has to leave school, and she doesn't get along with the new substitute that's going to replace him, until the substitute asks Clementine for help learning the class rules. See, sometimes it takes time for teachers and students to get along, but when they both work together, it's a lot easier. In the teacher's funeral, Russell is older when his teacher dies, and he just hopes school will shut down because he's tired of it. But instead, his sister becomes the new teacher, and he realizes how important school really is to achieve his dreams. And she helps him to see how important that is, even though it's tough for both of them to get along at first.
The View from Saturday is a book about 4 students that are in the 6th grade, and they go to an academic bowl competition, and they beat all the other 6th graders, then the 7th grade, and the 8th grade too. So it's just important to remember that even if you're frustrated with your teacher, she's only trying to make you a better student, and she's just trying to help you, so you have to keep trying. Okay, so this book is called Frindle, and it's about a boy that came up with a new word for the name pen, and he called it Frindle, and his teacher hated it, and all the adults around him hated it, but it ended up getting added into the dictionary and going really far and becoming really popular. So you just have to remember that no matter what, you just have to keep trying, and you'll always do your best in the end, so just keep up the hard work. So this book is called Love That Dog, and it's about a boy who hates writing poetry because he thinks it's just for girls. But his teacher just, encourages him to keep trying, and he keeps writing it, and eventually he comes to love it, and he's really, really good at writing it. So you just have to remember that you have to keep trying in everything you do, and your teacher will always be there for you. You just have to go and talk to her and just tell her how you're feeling, and she'll always want what's best for you.
The books we chose were from different reading levels that were not always for Stella that's a 3rd grader. It is important to remember that even though Stella is a 3rd grader, she could be below level or above level. That's why we chose some picture books and some difficult chapter books.
The set of books we chose for Stella were chosen especially for her to help improve her relationship with her teacher.